In this video, I am going to explain for loop. In this video, I am going to explain for loop. What is a loop? The loops are used to execute the statements repeatedly. The loops are used to execute the statements repeatedly till the condition is satisfied. Until the condition is satisfied. The loops are used to execute the statements repeatedly until the condition is satisfied. There are three different types of loops are there. While loop, for loop and do while loop. While loop, for loop and do while loop. We have seen while loop. What is while loop and how it works and and programs on while loop. So many programs on while loop. Generally, a loop contains initialization statement. Generally, a loop contains initialization statement, conditional statement, update statement. Update statement, that is increment or decrement. Update statement, increment or decrement. Here in the while loop, the syntax of while loop is while condition and the loop statements, that is body of the loop. It contains some statements to execute repeatedly. To execute repeatedly. To execute repeatedly. First initialization statement, then inside loop there is a condition and the statements, and the last statement is, that is update statement. The last one is update statement. The last one is update statement. Generally, the initialization and condition and update statement. These three statements are necessary for a loop. These three statements are necessary for a loop. Here while loop and for loop, both purposes is same. The purpose of while loop and the purpose of for loop is both same. Is both same. That is to execute the statements repeatedly. That is to execute the statements repeatedly. But the way of writing for loop is differ from while loop. See the syntax here. It is used to execute a loop for a fixed number of times. It is used to execute a loop for fixed number of times. It is used to execute a loop for fixed number of times. See the syntax. For initialization, condition and increment or decrement, and then body of the loop. Here in while loop, the initialization in one line, that is initialization statement, is written in single line, one line. And the condition, that is in loop, while condition avoid initialization statement, and in loop, that is while condition, and after some statements that will be final statement is increment or decrement statement. Increment or decrement statement. It means the while loop. If we use while loop instead of for loop in a program, it increases the length of program. It increases the length of a program. That is the only difference between this while loop and for loop. That is the only difference between this while loop and for loop. The difference is in while loop the length of the statements are increased because the initialization is one line and the condition in another line and increment or decrement in another line. Here all these three statements are comes under within the brackets, within these brackets of for loop. All these three statements are within the brackets of for loop. So that is the difference. For initialization, condition, increment or decrement, then body of the loop. For initialization, condition, increment or decrement, then body of the loop. This is the syntax. I'll show you the difference between the syntaxes in for loop and while loop. For See the difference here. Here initialization statement in one line. This is the initialization statement, and this is the condition, and this is the increment or decrement statement. Here it means 1, 2, 3. 1 and this is 2 and this is 3. 1, 2, 3. Here all these are in a single statement. That is 1 initialization statement and condition 2 and increment and decrement is 3. The length of program is reduced when we use for loop in a program instead of while loop. Then the length of the program is reduced. All these three statements will be written in a single line. So that is the difference between this while loop and for loop. The difference between while loop and for loop. While loop and this is here for loop. While loop and for loop. Less number of statements. Less number of statements. Here number of statements are increased. Less number of statements, and here the number of statements are increased. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Here observe here 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 and this is 6. Here 1, 2, 3 and 4. Here the statements in the program is only 4 and here the statements in the program are 6 or 6. This is the difference between while loop and for loop. Initialization. Initialize the loop index. Initialize the loop index, that if you want to print the numbers from 1 to 10, the variable is I, then I is equals to 1. That is initialization. That is initialization. I is equals to 1 is the initialization. And condition. It is a value or expression for checking, entering or continuation. It is a value or expression for checking or entering continuation. That is a greater than or equals to 10 or a less than or equals to 10. These are the conditions. A less than or equals to 10 or a greater than or equals to 10. or the conditions. These are the conditions. And increment oblique decrement, increment or decrement. Increment or decrement the loop index value. Increment or decrement or the loop index value. That is a plus plus, a minus minus, a plus plus or a minus minus. A plus plus or a minus minus. This is the flowchart of for loop. This is the flowchart of for loop. See this flowchart. Start, then last item end. No statements. This is an example of for loop. This is a flowchart. See the flowchart. And this is the example program that to print the numbers from 1 to 10 using for loop. Printing the numbers from 1 to 10 using for loop. Printing the numbers from 1 to 10 using for loop. And there is a nested loops also there. It is possible in C to have a loop within another loop. So I will show you some programs on this for loop. Documentation section. Example on or to print the numbers from 1 to 10 using for loop. Using for loop. Here hash include stdio.h, hash include stdio.h, void main int I. No need to write here I is equals to 1 like while loop. clr scr CLR, SCR, for I is equals to 1, I less than or equals to 10, I plus plus. For I is equals to 1, I less than or equals to 10, I plus plus. This is the syntax of using for loop. Instead of writing initialization in one line, condition in one line, and increment in one line, because all these three statements are necessary to construct a loop. So here printf percentage d slash n comma I. Close this printf, close the for loop, and close the main function. Close the main function. Close this main function. Into I CLR SCR for I is equals to 1, I less than or equals to 10, I plus plus, printf percentage d slash n comma I. Save this file with a name and giving for 1.c, for loop 1.c. Execute this program. See here, no errors. Just see the output here. See the output that these are the numbers from 1 to 10. These are the numbers from 1 to 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It means it is showing the same output that what we have written using while loop in the previous programs. Using while loop in the previous programs. Void main int I clear screen for I is equals to 1, I less than or equals to 10, I plus plus, printf percentage d slash n. Here you can give slash t also, like in the previous program. Just see the output, same output. That is from 1 to 10. And I will show you one more program on for loop, that is for loop 2.c. for loop 2.c to print the numbers from 10 to 1 using for loop. Or to print multiplication table. Multiplication table. Hash include stdio.h void main here int I comma number clr scr printf enter any number scanf percentage d comma ampersand number for I is equals to 1, I less than or equals to 10, I plus printf percentage d again percentage d is equals to percentage d comma number comma I comma num into I. Save this program, control F9, compilation. See here, no errors. I want to print multiplication table of 2. Just see here output multiplication table. Like that you can give any number here. I am giving the number 8. Just see here. So with using this while loop, for loop instead of while loop, we can reduce the number of statements in a program. Here in this program, I am reading a value through the keyboard, that is enter any number. The scanf is reading that number into variable number, and the logic is only this one, that is a single line. For I is equals to 1, I less than or equals to 10, I plus plus. For I is equals to 1, I less than or equals to 10, I plus plus. I is equals to 1, I less than or equals to 10, I plus plus. Printf percentage d multiplication percentage d is equals to percentage d slash. Then num comma I comma num into I. Then num comma I comma num into I. This is the another example on for loop. Here the advantage of a for loop, instead of this while loop, is the advantage of for loop over while loop is this one only. Remaining everything is same. The number of statements are reduced or decreased in for loop comparing to while loop. This is the major difference between the while loop and for loop. This is the major difference between the while loop and for loop. This is the major difference between the while loop and for loop. And next another loop is also there, that is do while loop. Here three different kinds of loops are there: while loop, for loop and do while loop. Then there is another loop. There is another loop that is do while loop, and we can write a loop inside a loop, that is nesting of loops. That is nesting of loops. Nesting of loops. The nested loops and another loop, do while loop, that I will explain the next video. Thank you.